Oh, hello, and welcome to my live. Today, I'm going to introduce the IELTS reading test. The IELTS reading test. So, what do you need to understand about the IELTS reading test? Okay, number one, you need to understand the skills tested. The skills tested in the IELTS reading test. Number two, you need to understand the content. You need to understand the content. Okay? Number three, you need to understand the timing. You need to understand the timing. That is number three. Number four, you need to understand the questions. You need to understand the questions in the IELTS reading test. And lastly, number five, okay? Lastly, number five, you need to understand the scores. You need to understand the scores. So once you understand these five components of the IELTS reading test, you will be ready to go. All right? The five components that you need to understand in the reading test. One, the skills tested. Two, the content. Three, the timing. Four, the questions. And five, the scores. Okay, so let's look at the skills tested. One, what is tested in the IELTS reading test? Okay, your ability to form a general understanding of a text. You're given a long text, probably from, a book, from a newspaper, from a magazine. Are you able to form the general or to come up with the general understanding of this text? This is one skill that is tested, your ability to form the general or a general understanding of the whole text that you'll be reading. Number two, your ability to look for specific information. Your ability to look for specific details from a given text. You're given a text, and of course, each text comes with a set of questions. You will be asked to identify or look for specific information from this text. Maybe you are supposed to look for specific dates of events. You're supposed to look for specific features, okay, of something that is described in this text. So your ability to look for specific details or specific information from a given text. This is the second skill that is tested in the IELTS reading test. Number three, your ability to identify the writer's opinion or attitudes. All right? You're given a text and you'll be asked, of course, like I said, each text comes with questions, a set of questions. You'll be asked to explain what the writer feels about ABCD, whatever topic that is being, you are reading about. So this is a skill that is tested in the IELTS reading test. Your ability to identify the writer's opinion or attitudes. All right. And lastly, number four, the last skill that is tested in the IELTS reading test, your ability to follow on how an argument develops, your ability to follow through the development of an argument. All right, so this is all you need to know about the skills, the 4 skills that are tested in the IELTS reading test. Next, we look at the content. The content, okay? Both IELTS academic and IELTS general training, they both have 3 different sections. They have 3 different sections, okay? And each section is accompanied by a set of questions, like I said. Section 1, you are given a text to read, and this text comes with its own set of questions. Section number 2, it's a totally different text with its own set of questions. And section number 3, another text with a set of questions. So both reading in IELTS academics and IELTS general training, it has 3 sections, 3 texts like that you'll be reading, and 3 sets of questions. That is one thing that you need to understand about the content of the IELTS reading test. The second thing you need to understand, the texts are normally adapted from, like I mentioned, from books, from newspapers, from newsletters, from, journals, okay, magazines, and all these texts, they tend to be of general interest. This is very important. You do not need to be an expert in a specific area for you to understand any of these texts. That is why they are all, general, in nature. They are all of general interest. You don't need to be an expert in so that you can say, oh, I'm going to expect a text, based on maybe scientific research and all that, so I need to be, good in sciences and all this. No, 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 no. All these or what is that? The passages, that is another term, or the passages or the articles or the texts, they are all of general interest. So nobody is advantaged over the other. You don't need to be an expert in a specific area for you to understand better a text. So no worry, you don't need a a specific knowledge on something. These are all texts that are of general interest. All right. And lastly, what you need to understand about the IELTS reading test. Okay. The 2 tests, the reading and the general training and academic IELTS reading tests. Like I mentioned in one of my videos, reading test is one of the tests that are, that come differently depending on whether you are doing, or depending on if you're doing a general training IELTS, or if you're doing academics. So those who are doing IELTS academic, they do a different paper or test. And those who are doing general training, they do a totally different test. All right. So, and the nature of these 2, or the difference between the 2 tests, the IELTS reading test in the general training, it's slightly easier or simpler, if I can put it that way, compared to the IELTS, those who do the IELTS academic reading. Okay, so for the general training, it mainly focuses on basic survival skills, while the IELTS reading in the academic test, it's more of a study academic, just like I described in one of my videos about the difference between IELTS general training and IELTS reading. So this is where, when it comes to the reading test, this is where now those differences play a role. This is one of the tests of the skills. The reading test is where those differences play a part. All right? So that is all you need to understand about the content in the IELTS reading test. Next is about the timing. Unlike the listening test, which I mentioned, which I talked about, the timing being 30 minutes plus 10 minutes, total of 40 minutes. When it comes to the IELTS reading section, you have 60, you are given 60 minutes to finish the test. And one major difference that you need to understand about the IELTS reading, which is different from the IELTS listening, you do not have any extra time. Remember, in the IELTS listening, at least you are given 10 extra minutes for you to go through your answers and transfer your answers from the test, the question paper, to the answer sheet. When it comes to the IELTS reading test, you have 60 minutes, which is inclusive of everything. So it is up to you to plan your time well and, finish up all your work, write your answers on the answer sheet within the 60 minutes. All right? Of course, you are given a question paper, you are given an answer sheet. So you are expected to write directly your answers on the answer sheet, unlike the IELTS listening test, where you are allowed to write your answers on the question paper before you transfer them in the 10 extra minutes. In the IELTS reading test, as you read the text, you are answering, you're just writing your answers directly in your answer sheets. All right? It doesn't mean that you cannot write on the just like I said, like in the IELTS listening, you can write anything and whatever it is that you feel is going to help you capture or trace your answers fast on the question paper. The question paper, you can write as much as you want. You can check for the clues and note them and mark and underline, as long as it's something that is going to help you trace the answers, you can do that. And remember, at the end of the test, you're going to hand in your question paper. You don't need to erase and wrap anything that you wrote there, because at the end of the day, nobody is going to mark the question papers. But during, at the end of the test, you have to hand in your question papers plus your answer sheets. But nobody is going to go through the question papers. So make use of the question paper. Write the notes as much as you want. Underline the keywords. Underline key information. Highlight anything that is going to help you trace the answers. All right. So about the timing, you have 60 minutes to finish your IELTS reading test. No more extra minutes given. That is one. It is always recommended that you spend, remember there are 3 sections in the IELTS reading test. You spend your 60 minutes split them into 20, sections of 20 minutes each. Section 1, give it 20 minutes. Section 2, give it 20 minutes. Section 3, give it 20 minutes. So make sure that you work within these minutes to finish up your work. If you find yourself spending a whole 40 minutes in section 1, remember you have still 2 more texts to read, okay? Because time is one thing that really throws people off. You put all your time and you're struggling to answer questions in the first section, by the time you hear the invigilator saying you have 10 minutes to go, you are not even done with the first text of the reading test. So spend your time well. All right. Just, okay, this one I've already said, there's no extra time given. And on the part of time management, okay, because in the listening, at least there is that, a part you are told, okay, now you have 10 extra minutes. In the reading test, nobody is going to tell you that, your time is, you need now to move to section 2. You need, remember, in the listening test, you are guided, you're told, now you're done with section 1, we are moving to section 2. We are done, you have 30 seconds to check through the questions. You're moving to section 3. You're moving to section 4. But now when it comes to IELTS reading test, nobody is going to give you those that heads up telling you now you should be moving to the second text, moving to the third text. It is up to you to plan your time well. So that is what you need to understand about the timing and how it is different from IELTS, the IELTS listening test. Questions. Just like in the IELTS listening test, the IELTS reading test also has 40 questions, okay? It has a total of 40 questions, all right? And there are also a variety of question types that you are going to answer. You could be answering multiple choice questions, matching of paragraphs, matching of information, matching or completion of sentences. So there are a variety of question types that you'll be attempting, all right? And answers, most, in fact, not most, like I can say, answers tend to be short. They are all short answer questions, all right? And some of them, they require you to just indicate or write one word or one letter or one number or just a short phrase, all right? So that is all you need to understand about the questions in the IELTS reading test. Then lastly, the scores. Just like in the IELTS listening test, the IELTS reading test, also one correct answer equals to 1 mark. Like I said, the total number of questions are 40. So all the questions are marked out of 40. The raw marks or the raw scores are counted out of 40, and then later on they are converted into the band scale. Remember, the IELTS test is marked or ranked using a band scale. So anything you score out of 40, the raw marks, it is converted into this band scale. That is how you come up with a band 3, a band 4, a band 5, a band 6, or a band 7, band 8, or even a band 9, all right? And one thing that you need to understand, the scores are reported in either whole numbers or half. It can either be a 6, a 7, an 8, a 9, or it could be a 6.5, 6 7.5, 8.5. So they are usually reported in whole numbers. So this is all you need to understand about the IELTS reading test. The skills tested, the content, the timing, the questions, and finally the scores. All right, so that is all you need to know about the IELTS reading test. Stay tuned to understand more now, specific things that you need to understand about the IELTS reading test. Until next time.